we want to sort of plan. We want to make intentions. What do I want to do? What do I want to eat? Like, if for your life, like, what do I want to be? What do I want to create? You know, where do I want to live? House do I want to live in? Like, you want to dream about those things. That's part of the fun, you know? Like, it is part of the fun. It doesn't mean it's going to work out exactly the way that you plan, but if you embrace the journey, the whole journey when you're there, like, it can be even better.
If you have followed the rules but feel unsatisfied with where that's gotten you, this podcast is for you.
We'll help you learn how to reach your goals through creativity, intuition, and flow.
Welcome to the Flow into Authenticity podcast.
Hey!
Hi, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Woohoo! We're all here. This is amazing and magical.
Magic. It is magic.
Okay.
I don't know what.
Dear listeners, you get more than you bargained for with this podcast.
One of those, like, I don't know. I was just thinking about one of those, like, 70s, cartoons, theme songs. It's like,
ooh,
magic, magic.
You got to bottle that up and sell it. That just makes me happy. I'm so jazzed about today's episode because we're talking about travel, holidays, vacations, and I was just picturing one of my favorite movies is What About Bob? And he says, I'm taking a vacation from my problems. And I feel like that's what it is. That's what it's all about. So taken any good vacations recently, ladies?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what do you
my entire year was a vacation. No, just kidding. Almost.
What stands out? What was your favorite?
Oh gosh. Well, I went to India and then I went for 3 weeks and then I went to Europe for 3 weeks. So yeah.
Wow.
And in between that time I had cancer. So I deserved it. No.
It was like a little cancer sandwich.
It was a weird year, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of ups, a lot of downs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told the surgeon, I was like, you better schedule my surgery so that I can go to India 3 weeks after that. So I was like determined to go.
That's
How about
awesome.
you, Jen?
So this year, my vacation time was redirected to do some family caretaking.
That's right.
And that was important but I'm very fortunate that I had the time to be able to use my free time to be with family and to help them out in ways that ordinarily are very challenging because I live far away from my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
that's one of those things where you might need a vacation from your vacation after you get home.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, that relates
tough
to something that we're going to talk about later, which is how to take mini vacations. So let's say you don't get a vacation or your vacation gets co-opted by something that you have to respond to. We definitely need to talk about how to infuse your life with the vacation/travel mentality. But before we get there, what's so great about traveling? What's so great about vacation? What comes to mind?
So to establish a little bit of context for me, my family did not travel when I was growing up, and all of my family lived nearby. So my world was very small, honestly, until after I graduated from college. And so for me, one of the great benefits of travel is literally just expansion.
Mm.
The opportunity to expand my world, to expand my perspectives. I mean, there are a lot of different directions in which I could frame that.
Yeah. Well, so that expansion sounds like it could change who you are, or it could give you inspiration for, how to solve a problem you're working on or for a project that you want to do. I know that like traveling to conferences for me is always extremely inspiring. Um yeah, so what about you, Esther? What do you think? What does travel do for you?
Yeah, so actually, my family traveled a lot when I was young. And so I always find it interesting how, we talk a lot about mindset in this podcast. And what we grow up with. I'd be curious to hear this. I don't know if I'm changing the subject, but um, I'd be curious to hear this from you, Jen, if you didn't grow up with traveling. But for me, traveling just is a part of life. And since I've discovered that exploration is one of my core values, then it's like essential for me. And I grew up with the idea that traveling is like totally possible and like you just do it, right? And moving and traveling and exploring, it's just a part of life. And so, but my husband like didn't grow up with that. And so when throughout the years, it's been a little bit difficult for him to, as we had talked about before, value tag that and decide that that's okay to spend money on that. And
Mhm.
yeah, if that makes sense. Like a lot of people that have grown up maybe in a small town or not traveling a lot, it can feel a bit like overwhelming to think about traveling. But for me, growing up, it was really essential. And it really gives me that like different perspective. It takes me out of my comfort zone of being home. And it's like literally my lifeblood. So, something that I really discovered in COVID times was that I, even though I love being home and I love being a homebody, that actually my personality, my essence really needs change.
Mm.
It needs to go outside, explore things that are new and different, and connect with people, connect with my surroundings. And so, yeah, for me, like just in general, it's just like energy, like life to me. Even if I'm going to a new park or somewhere, somewhere that's different. And maybe it's my low dopamine. I don't know.
No, but I think there really is something to that experiencing novelty
Yeah.
in whatever
Mm.
form.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's an opportunity to receive fresh input
Yeah.
in a way that engages all of my senses. And I think, Allison, I was thinking about this as you were mentioning going to conferences. And you want to
Mm.
talk about getting fresh input and
Yeah.
hearing different perspectives and kind of engaging with people in ways that may be different from your day-to-day routine.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we talk about the creative process, in this podcast, and really like it is such an essential part of the creative process that, we talk about that first step of flow, finding in the flow framework of finding inspiration. It's such an opportunity to engage in the creative process in our life.
Because you don't have any routines around traveling, unless you travel to the same place all the time over and over again. But for most of us, we don't have specific routines. And so you kind of have to create all of the aspects of the experience for yourself. So it kind of forces you into that creative mode.
Yeah, I love that. And you have choice, right? It's like think about creating a vacation, like planning a vacation. It's like that creative process in motion. Like you have choice to create like this like mini manifestation in your life. So cool. What about you, Allison?
Awesome.
What's your vacation?
Allison lived in.
Oh, I lived in where?
Oh, just noting that you grew up living in multiple places.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I moved all over the place when I was a kid. And so for me, like staying in one place is very nurturing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like having a home base is very nurturing. But I do love travel. I find it stressful to plan for travel and what comes before travel. But then when I travel, I'm just like, I use up 150% of my energy every day because I'm just so excited about all of the people I'm meeting and the things I'm getting to see and experiences. But this summer, I did some kind of unusual for me travel, which is I went on a couple of vacations with my kids out into the wilderness. And like camping vacations and beach vacations. And so we went to this river in this beautiful mountain valley with a bunch of my family. And then we went to the Oregon coast and, explored the beach and visited with family down there and went to like 4 or 5 different beaches. And, normally in my day-to-day life, I don't really intentionally connect with nature. I'm, sitting at my computer or I'm, chasing my kids around somewhere. But getting to like go out and have nature be kind of the focus of what we're doing was just so radically different from my normal life that it kind of created an interesting perspective shift. And that's what I really like about travel is that like you get out of your habits of mind, like not only your habits of what you do every day, but your habits of mind of like, oh, okay, now is the time when I have to do this. And, I can't do that thing because, it doesn't fit into this plan that I have for the day. And, it shifts you out of the habit of mind of having a routine and having a schedule that you have to adhere to. And it just opens everything up to you and opens up the possibilities. And you do get to be more creative and you do get to be more, like serendipitous things can happen. You do get to just let things come to you, let interesting opportunities come to you. So that's what I love about it.
If you let go of that plan and that routine, which Allison, it sounds like that's something that you are able to successfully do.
And that's, when Esther was talking about how she approaches travel, it made me think of how my first husband and I were such terrible travel partners with each other. We had totally different ways of approaching it. And so that was like a real red flag.
Yeah.
We didn't discover that till our honeymoon.
Oh, dude, when I first met my husband now, we were like 3 months into our relationship and I said, okay, we need to plan a trip because I need to know that you're able to travel because he didn't do a lot of traveling. So we went to Costa Rica like 6 months after we met. So I think it's so important.
That is really a good way to learn about someone. Definitely. When James and I took our first vacation to Hawaii, like 6 months after we met, that's when we realized like, oh, we really are compatible. Because, you know, we could kind of gently suss out what the other person's priorities were, where they were flexible and what were like deal breakers for them. And we sort of navigated that and explored like, hey, could we do this today? Oh yeah, that sounds great. And like explored those things together.
It's a kind of a cool way to see how you work as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
I had never even thought about that, but my husband and I, before we even started dating, took a road trip together.
Oh, I love it.
And that, honestly, that was the beginning of us falling in love.
Oh, it's like when Harry met Sally.
Road trip. I know, right? Like a road trip love. Horses. Weren't they in the car? And they were like, horses.
Wait.
Is that it? No, that was
that
that was
in Seattle?
Sleepless in Seattle. I'm getting them mixed up. Okay. Going back to planning everything. So can I just tell a little bit of like my journey?
Yes.
Okay. So Jen and I, before we started recording, we were talking about how like we're total planners. And when I was young, I had just so much anxiety, I think, that I would plan like every trip, just every detail. And I would have like a ton of anxiety around it. So if we didn't make it on time to this certain stop, I would just be like freaking out inside. And it really kind of ruined the entire vacation, like every trip that I ever took, because I was not embodied. I wasn't in my body. I was in my mind and trying to control everything. And I think that this really relates to how we live our life, right? If we're trying to control every single aspect of our life and not allowing that beautiful flow. So if you study flow, the science of flow, there's one of these triggers is deep embodiment. So you're present in your body and you're sort of listening to your intuition. And that's what gives that flow state such like you feel almost high sometimes, right? You feel like blissed out sometimes. And you can feel that way in vacation because it's so much easier to let yourself listen to your intuition and kind of navigate and pivot step by step in like where you're going, or embrace those. If something doesn't work out, like embrace what's happening now and the serendipitous things that do happen along the way. And so now I do sort of plan, like I'll have like food places that I pick out on my maps. I have just like a million stars on my Google map of places that I want to go, but I'll really embrace what's happening day by day, you know. Like on our trip to Europe, my husband got sick, and so we were gonna, you know, we had very loose plans, but we were gonna, I don't know, do something. And when he got sick, I was kind of secretly like, I was not happy that he was sick. Let me just say that. I was not happy that he was sick. But like there was a part
I know
of
where
me
you're coming from. Yes.
There's a part of me that was excited because I love like being by myself and having a day where I just follow my intuition in every step of the day. And I really wanted to go to all these art art galleries. And I just had like the most blissful day, down to like finding the perfect lunch spot when I thought I was going to go to a different spot. But my intuition kind of led me to this really amazing place. And so just the whole day was so in flow, right? And so it's just, it's such a great way to practice flow when you're on vacation. And I tell this to my clients, and I tell this, like when I'm teaching a workshop, if you can have like a day where you're like listening to your intuition every step of the way, it's just such good practice, you know?
And that always reminds me of the Harry Potter scene where he takes the liquid luck and then he just has to follow his intuition all day and lucky
Mm.
things would happen to him. You know, all these magical.
That's what it feels like. That's what my days like feel like now all the time,
But
honestly.
it's a really interesting point you made about the benefits of finding a good balance between planning and
Yeah.
being open, because I remember one time I surprised my grandma with a visit. I just, had an opportunity to have like a couple day layover near where her house was, and I surprised her and she said, "Oh, it's great to see you, but I wish I had known because looking forward to your visit is part of the pleasure of your visit."
Oh my gosh.
And
That's so beautiful.
mm, and I feel that way about planning vacations. Like the planning of the vacation is kind
Mm.
of like half the benefit of the whole
Yeah.
vacation. And you don't have to do all the things you plan, but just the like coming up with possible ideas for what it could look like. And
Oh,
um
this is just like the analogy to life is just so
mm,
beautiful here, right? Like we we want to sort of plan. We want to make intentions. What do I want to do? What do I want to eat? Like for your life, like what do I want to be? What do I want to create? You know, where do I want to live? House do I want to live in? Like you want to dream about those things. That's part of the fun, you know? Like it
yes.
is part of the fun. It doesn't mean it's going to work out exactly the way that you plan, but if you embrace the journey, the whole journey when you're there, like it can be even better, right?
Yes, yes. And then the other part of it is like looking back on a vacation is also
Oh,
part of the
oh my
benefit.
gosh, yeah.
So like the vacation is a third of the benefit.
I love that. My husband and I, we have photos on our computer. So whenever on our TV. So whenever the TV kind of is asleep, then our
hmm
photos come up and we're always like, oh, do you remember when we went there? Do you remember when we went
Oh,
there? And you can kind
yes.
of feel like you're in that moment, you know?
And that's a great thing to do. You know, we never know what's going to happen to us. We might be in a situation where we can't travel anymore one day.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have those photos and those memories that you can look back on, it enriches that part of your life where you can't, do as
Yeah.
much.
That's really wonderful to remember. I mean, I am someone who is a planner just in life in general, but then also I do really enjoy planning travel, and the anticipation
Mm.
definitely for me is at least a third of the fun.
I
It
love
might even
that.
be more, but I need to remember that when I come up with this list of things that I want to do, I want to treat it more like a menu rather than a to-do
Yes.
list.
Yes.
Yes.
And
That's a
and
Right.
great
then
way to look at it.
and then when the vacation is over, I can't regret the things on the menu that I didn't choose.
No, you
Yeah.
would never go into a fabulous restaurant and order everything on the menu. That
Yeah.
would ruin the whole experience for you, right? You'd be like
Right.
that Monty Python guy. Just like, wait, wafer thin mint. I
my
won't tell you what happens in case you haven't seen it.
my husband and I have really been embracing like slow travel because we both don't have a lot of energy.
Mm.
And so we used to want to do everything, you know. I was that person too, like wanting to do everything and see pack as much in as we could. But really, you know, there were some days on our trip where we just literally went to breakfast. I got a massage. We went to a coffee shop and I wrote poetry and maybe
Sounds
went shopping, you
amazing.
know. And it's yeah, and we don't feel the need to see all the big sights, it just feels draining. So it's like it's really like listening to your intuition. It's such a great practice. And I love that, Jen. Like not regretting what you didn't see because whatever happened was like meant for you.
Yeah, and what you're describing too, that slow traveler, slow vacation, you can do that, by the way, in your normal non-traveling life.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone do that?
Yes,
Yes, I certainly do.
Yeah. So Jen, you tell
Mhm.
us your story and then I'll tell you mine.
So I have an annual tradition, roughly annual. I don't have a specific date for it, but I should honestly think about that.
I feel like it should
Where
be monthly. I feel like it
Yeah,
should be monthly, at least quarterly.
maybe
quarterly.
quarterly, maybe
Yeah.
quarterly, yes. Where if I don't have specific obligations in the morning, I don't have to be at a committee meeting or teach a class. I will go downtown to a coffee shop, bring my newspaper, and sit and read the newspaper and have a cup or 2 cups of coffee in an unhurried fashion, which is very different from how I usually read the newspaper in the morning, kind of, speed reading through the newspaper as I scarf down a bowl of yogurt. And then after I've read the newspaper, I go to the art museum. I wander around. I pick a couple of the galleries to go to. I don't feel the need to rush through and see all the things, but I just let my feet and my eyeballs go where they want to go. And then maybe around noon, I'm done. And then it's time for me to go into the office, have lunch, have my work afternoon. But I'm smiling for the rest of that afternoon because I've taken a little bit of time to do a fun thing for myself that is out of my ordinary routine.
That's amazing.
I,
That sounds
I love,
wonderful.
I love, so first of all, it reminds me of Julia Cameron's The Artist Way. She talks about artist dates and taking yourself on an artist date to like she calls it like refilling your well.
Mm.
So again, like we talk about finding inspiration, like filling that well of like your soul, that goodness. And I love when you talked about letting my feet and eyeballs direct me or something like that. That's exactly how I feel when I'm listening to my intuition to guide me to whatever's next. It's like, yeah, I'm letting my feet or my feet and my eyeballs. I love that. I love that.
Did you say you have a story of how you bring vacation mentality into your daily life, Esther?
Yeah, totally. So I the way that I kind of talked about slow travel is how I think about my everyday now, or I try since I started to just listen to my intuition more and instead of planning all of my day. I do plan my day. I have a whole calendar, but I really like wake up and because I have such issues with my body physically and energy, I really like try to listen to my body and what it's telling me. And, as like we were talking about, you can have a whole list of things that you want to do, but when you get to your vacation, like things might not turn out the way that that you want them to or that you plan them to. And I find that really every day is like that for me. Like yesterday, I had a couple things on my calendar and I was thinking, oh, I really actually need more time in the studio. And it's been really interesting because the couple appointments that I had, they canceled. And this happens to me all the time. Like I will say like actually I need this. My body's telling me I need this or my work is telling me I need this, not this, right? So I will go and I will just listen to my feet and my eyeballs or whatever it is, my gut, and what does today need, you know? And the other thing that I do that I was telling you guys about was when I get in my car, when I go take a walk or go somewhere, I have this little mantra. So you know when you're on vacation and it kind of everything feels new, everything feels like it's kind of for you to discover. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
yeah, like you're like, I wonder what I'm going to discover today. I'm so excited, right? To get out there. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I want my life to feel. So what I do is when I get in my car, I say this little mantra. It's like everything is for like all the good things that are for me are finding me. And like all these gifts I'm receiving, you know, from life. And then I say like I'm also a gift, like whatever I need to give to somebody.
Mm.
I'm available. So it just makes me like present, like you are on vacation, like in my body, embodied, right? And so, and just like working a little bit slower and aware of my surroundings. So,
You're in
like, yes,
open mode. It sounds like you're
yeah,
in
open
open
mode.
mode. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, yesterday I was at the store and this older woman asked me for help. And so she was just so lovely and I ended up helping her and she was just so like I don't know, I just had this amazing connection with her and I thought, okay, that's my gift for today. Like that's what life gave me for today. Like it just gives me so much energy. Like I'm so happy. And then today
Aw.
I went to the doctor's appointment and my doctor's appointment and as I was coming out, I saw another older woman. Oftentimes it's older women that give me give me my gifts. But she was so amazing. She's probably like 80 and had like this entire amazing outfit on. And she was just like beaming and joyful. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's my gift for today too. And also just the people, my doctors who were amazing today was my gift. And so just seeing everything in my life as like a gift and slowing down and listening to my intuition along the way. I think all of that to me, I've changed over the past like few years, you know, and it feels like you're on vacation every day, honestly.
That does feel like
almost.
the vacation habit of mind that you just
Yeah.
you're hyper present when you're on
Yes.
vacation and
And that, yep.
yeah, you're looking for like why is this cool? Why is this amazing? You know, and what's the next amazing thing? Um
And usually we're on the defensive, right? Usually we're
mm,
like protecting, you know, I'm focused, I'm getting here, I'm kind of protecting
mm,
myself from everything around me or
mm.
whatever. And you're not open.
And there's also, Esther, a real emotional component to what you were describing. And that
Mm.
is another one of the things that I value about travel is the opportunity to develop empathy, right? To have
Yes.
connections across difference,
That is
because
such a
that is
good.
incredibly important in the work that I do.
Oh, talk more about that, please. This is
Yeah.
so, I love this so much. And yeah, please talk
Okay.
more about this.
Okay. So I'll just give as the brief overview. When I was in graduate school, I had a year-long fellowship abroad. I was dumped into a country where I had very limited language skills. And so, yes,
Where?
I was living in Budapest, and my Hungarian was very rudimentary at the time, but I did not have any option other than to just go for it, right? And so my lack of language mastery meant that I needed to be more creative in how I connected with and communicated with people.
Mm.
And I think even uh, now that I don't find myself in that sort of a situation on an everyday basis, just that notion of communicating with and engaging with other people, people who may have different perspectives, different values. For me, maintaining empathy is a huge component of that and of being able to do my work effectively.
So how did you end up communicating with them, and how did that develop your empathy?
So a lot of it was broken Hungarian and smiles and hand gestures. I mean, I employed a smile like nobody's business.
And
again, what choice did
yeah.
I have?
Did you find that? So what I find when I travel and I meet with people who are so different from me, I find that we have things in common. You know what I mean? We there's something on a very human level that we connect on, you know? I have this picture of myself when I'm in this temple in Cambodia, Angkor Wat, and like this woman just asked me to come like sit in her lap, basically, like this older woman, again, older woman. And she's just smiling. I have this picture. She's just like smiling at me. And I'm just like, so there's this like deep connection of like human to human. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Did you find that when you were in that situation that there was like this other level?
I did. And I found that in other times where I've traveled in parts of the world where I'm not a native speaker of the predominant language, and really just knowing that you can connect with other people even without strong language, right? Even just through other means, even if it's sitting on a person's lap and just beaming together. There's something really beautiful and unusual about that, I think.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
And I think, like, you know, in the world that we're in now, where we all just think that we're so different, that really just embracing those similarities, embracing the humanness of us all. And I feel like travel should be required just for that. Just so that we can, number one, like you said, Jen, get out of our comfortability of our little bubble, but also to realize that we're not so different from each other, you know, and that's on that human level.
If you're like me and you have no money, you can also do this without spending money on travel, just in the place you live, by going to a part of town you don't normally go to, or going to, like, what am I thinking of? Well, going to the International District in Seattle and trying a type of food that you've never tried before.
I love that. Yeah.
Or, just going to a dance class that, you've never gone to before, where there's this whole other culture of dance that is totally foreign to you. You can have these little vacation moments in your own town or your own city.
Allison and I took belly dancing together. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, years ago, Allison and I took not ballet, belly dancing. And that was like so cool to like experience that in that little community of women.
Yeah, so different. And that's how I started getting into aerial acrobatics too. I was just like, I want to do something different in like a different culture, a different community than what I normally do. Yeah. So just, and that's all a part of finding inspiration, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
That honestly was one of my biggest joys when I lived in Hungary. Is I joined a Balkan dance club, and I went dancing a couple of nights a week. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
Right.
cool.
Did it have anything to do with my research? No. Was it even Hungarian? No. But it was an entree into a different culture and an
Yeah.
activity that
Oh.
I adored the people there. I adored the house band, and it provided me an opportunity to just to dance, which is something that I've always loved to do.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I love that. Oh, we all love dancing. That's so awesome. I recently so I don't know what I want to hear from you all about what you did when we couldn't travel during the pandemic. But one of the things that I did was I'll share a couple. One of the things I did was I went to the beach all the time. And that
Mm.
just made me feel a little bit, and just taking like weekend trips out in the country. And then I took an Afro beats dance class. So that
Oh,
helped a little
fun.
bit. Yeah. So what did you all do during the pandemic when we couldn't travel to kind of get that finding inspiration fix, um, creative exploration fix?
Hmm. I had a baby, so
Oh yeah, that's something new.
yeah, everything was new.
Oh
Yeah. And we were like cryogenically packed into our house with no
yeah.
connection to the outside world.
So did you find it really hard to not have that exploration, or were you
Um,
not thinking about it because you had a baby?
no, there's this like total like instinctual nesting thing that happens that
Yeah.
makes you
Yeah.
totally be okay with just like retreating
Wow.
into your little
Mm.
hive or
That's kind of beautiful then. Yeah.
so it actually landed at a good time
Yeah.
in a way.
How about you, Jen?
So one of the ways that I coped with being um, stuck at home so much is I exercised, but as I was exercising, I was playing a video of a person who was hiking through the mountains in Switzerland or biking through these beautiful canyons in
Oh,
California. And
wow.
I ended up coming up with such a long list of when we can travel again,
Yeah.
I want to go there. I
Yeah.
want to go
Planning.
there.
Oh my gosh.
But it
Yes,
was
that
it was just the fun anticipation of being able to get
Mm-hmm.
out into the world again
Mm.
without the stressful parts of planning.
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
That's so cool. I love
The
that.
planning and the dreaming. I mean, so my mom occasionally will buy a lottery ticket and she says she's buying the permission to dream about something.
Oh, I
It's not
love
about
that.
winning, it's about dreaming
Oh
about
my
what would I
gosh.
do?
I love that.
I love that. I'm going to be teaching another workshop, and I'm thinking about the first session. And actually, that is exactly that, giving people permission to dream, to really
Mm,
think about their dreams. So that's so beautiful.
yeah.
Okay, you guys, we're going to wrap up, but anything else before we do our 4%?
No, I'm ready for the 4%.
Okay.
We've come up with a lot of things that could be good 4%, haven't we?
Hurry up and narrow it down. What
Well,
is it?
so one of the things that's sticking out to me is Jen's idea of like a morning mini vacation that
Mm-hmm.
was annual but is now going to be quarterly, right, Jen?
Yes, ma'am.
Where you take a morning, a part of your day when you would normally have some obligation, and you just blow off whatever that obligation is, or, rearrange things so that you can just kind of follow your intuition, just like if you're a Harry Potter fan, just as if you had drank some liquid luck and just, give yourself a few hours to go float around and do what sounds wonderful to do next.
I love that. Yeah, I give this assignment and like when I teach about intuition, because it's such a great, and like noticing, like I talk about just waking up and thinking like, what do I want to do? Asking yourself what would feel good, to do. Is it drinking some coffee, going and getting some tea, going to the museum, what comes up, you know? And then like Jen said, like following your feet and your eyeballs, or like, where do you feel it in your body? That sense of like, I want to do this, you know, where do you feel that? Where do you feel it after you do it? Does it feel satisfying? And what can you like notice, you know, as you're going about your day, you know?
It would be really fun to like just choose a part of your city or wherever you live that you have never been to, or a part that you rarely go to.
Yes.
And do it from there. Like plop yourself down right in the middle.
So whenever, it's funny because like my husband and I both have this like exploration as a core value. So we realize that, especially during the pandemic, that was one of the things that we didn't have. So whenever like he's feeling down or I'm feeling down, we're always like, okay, we're going to go somewhere we've never been before. Let's just go.
Aww.
You know, and it usually always makes us feel better to just get out and explore, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So we invite you, our listener, to do that. I should have said our listeners. Kind of sounds like we have one listener.
I kind of like it though, because it's
Mom.
like you are. It's very like intimate, you know.
Yeah.
You, our listener, we invite you to take this little date for yourself, and and the morning is good too because you're kind of you haven't filled your head with all those to-dos yet.
Yes.
You know? And,
you're a blank slate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for listening.
Yes, we really appreciate you. We hope that you're getting some good ideas out of hearing our conversations. And thank you so much.
Yeah. And if you are liking this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also leave us a little friendly review. That would be super helpful. And if you could tell other people about it, that would be great too. Have a great weekend, week,
whatever it is for you. Have a great mini vacation.
Yeah. Talk to you next time.
Bye. You've been listening to the Flow into Authenticity podcast with your hosts, Esther Loopstra, Jen Sorensen, and me, Allison Henrich. Our original theme music is by James Wetzel, and James Wetzel also does sound editing. If you like what you've heard today, we hope that you will subscribe, like, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.